Hello, we are going to talk about the art principles through the use of some flashcards. And what are art principles? Well, these are the things that help us organize the art elements. The art elements we covered last time, and those were line, shape, form, color, space, texture, mass, and light. The art principles help us organize these things by contrasting them, showing us unity, balance, emphasis, variety, movement, and pattern. These are our art principles. Sometimes it's easy to remember them with this little acronym, CUBE-VAMP. Contrast, unity, balance, emphasis, variety, and movement with pattern. So our first one is contrast. Contrast has to do with opposites, like fluffy clouds versus a cactus that's prickly. Those are obvious opposites or contrasts. You could also do it by color. Opposites of red and green is their opposite sides on the color wheel. It could also be by environment. We have land versus water, water versus sky, up versus down. Those are different ways that we can talk about contrast. Then we have unity. And unity can be through maybe the use of all cool colors. We could unify things by shape, having all sorts of different circles within an image. Or linking all of the different shapes together so that they all touch themselves, and that becomes unified. You can also use color to unify something by making it monochromatic, or all of one color. It could also be unified through having everything in one environment. This is an undersea scene, so all of the elements within this picture are underwater, making it unified. Next, we have balance. Balance could be like on a seesaw, where you have equal amounts and equal sizes on each side, and that's called symmetry. You could also have asymmetry, meaning you have about the same kind of stuff on each side, creating balance. But balance can also be achieved with an all-over pattern, because the weight seems distributed evenly throughout the whole image. This is kind of like what happens with a face, too, where you have even amounts on each side, creating a kind of symmetry or balance within a face. So simply because the image is centered in the picture, it can create balance in it. So those are 4 different ways to achieve balance. Here we have emphasis. I highlighted it to remind you that highlighting is a way to emphasize text. You can also emphasize something by making it different, or highlighting it with a color. You can group things together to make one seem emphasized above all of the others. You can have everything pointing to it, so that that emphasizes it visually. Having one different than all the other also makes a point of emphasis, so that we notice one above all of the others. Emphasis means making one thing stand out more than all of the others. Variety is our next art principle, and variety means differences. So we can have different sizes of stars. We could have different sizes of people. We could have different kinds of color. And we could also have different kinds of pattern. These are all variety. Differences help make variety. Movement. We have actual movement of somebody moving within a picture. Put a little line after them to say that they're moving in a certain direction. You can have literal movement if this was water and there's a wave going across it. But you can also have suggested movement. All of these triangles pointing in one direction give us that sense of movement. Even if nothing is moving, we can have a sense of movement. If this was a street, there's no cars on it, but our eye moves down that road to the foreground, giving us a sense of movement. The movement can even be our eye. As we look in a scene, our eyes are moved from the front to the middle to the back. Foreground, middle ground, and background movement. Our last one is pattern. And pattern can be predictable pattern or mechanical pattern, like in that, shapes of alternating squares and circles, or it can be a natural pattern of leaves, an unpredictable pattern. You could have an unpredictable pattern of stars in the sky. So pattern has many different kinds, and they are natural and unpredictable, or they can be mechanical versus predictable. Let's take a famous work of art. Does it have all of the art principles in it? Well, it sure does, and let me show you how. Contrast can be seen in the orange highlights within the stars and the celestial bodies to the blue. Blue and orange are contrasting colors. We can say it's unified by this swirling motion through everything. We can see the tree has a swirl going through it. The mountains have swirls going through it. There's a large yin-yang kind of swirl in the sky. So this swirl movement is unifying it. The brushstrokes are small and choppy, the way Vincent van Gogh would in this painting titled Starry Night. It's also unified by the overall use of blue. We could talk about balance too. This is asymmetrically balanced. If we cut the image in half, this large tree form is balanced out by many houses and mountains on this side. So it's balanced that way. Emphasis. The moon is emphasized because it's the brightest thing in the sky. The mountains seem to undulate in that direction. The sky seems to sweep in that direction, and it is the brightest thing within the whole picture. Variety. There are a variety of different objects. We have trees, stars, hills, and town. There's a variety of brushstrokes throughout the painting, leading in many different areas and many different directions. We have a variety of color, from white to dark to blue to orange. So lots of different variety going on in here. Movement can be given in this sense of waves in the background that give us these hills, or the swirls within the sky. The painting isn't physically moving. This isn't a movie that I'm projecting to you, but there are parts in it that seem to be moving. And then pattern. Well, is there a pattern in this picture? Sure, it's an unpredictable pattern of stars throughout the sky, or an unpredictable pattern of lights and windows in the town. There is a pattern of all-over brushstrokes within this artwork, so you can say that that creates a pattern as well. So all of the art principles are present in this very famous painting.